Just a very quick video today, a bit of an update. I think we're going to call it Cobwebs and Progress or something along those lines. So you'll see, as part of a bit of a clean-up I've had to try and help with clearing the rest of the garage so that I can get some more of the boarding done, I've actually managed to find the machine lamp and the chuck guard for the Denford. So you can see those have been fitted there. They probably need electrical checking. I put a new a cable in the lamp when I first got the lathe 2 or 3 years ago. It's been stored in garages and various places where there's been mice and other things. So before I actually turn that on, it'll get a good thorough check over. So you can see that the light's been fitted, the chuck guard's been fitted. So both of those things can be moved out of the way while I paint the wall and while I level the lathe up, so it's not a problem. The black tray that you can see behind the lathe is something that I got with it, and it's got a tiny little aluminium tray fixed to it, which you can just see there, and that was the previous owner's work, I believe, and he had that little aluminium tray there for putting his quick release tool holders. There's about 4 or 5 that came with the lathe when I got it, so he had these quick release tool holders set up there. It's okay, it kind of works, but if you've got anything longer than 20 millimeters to stick out the front of the tool holder, they tend to start falling off. So I'm leaving that there for now, just as a bit of a protector from oil, and I'm long-term plans is to make some kind of sheet metal work as a proper backdrop guard for the lathe, just to try and contain the mess and the swarf a little bit more when we get into actually cutting some metal, which feels like a long way off, but we're getting closer towards it. I'll bring you back in a moment and give you a bit more of the story when we look down the other end of the workshop. So we're back, and hopefully if you've watched the other episodes you'll notice immediately that this looks significantly different. I've managed to remove quite a lot of stuff out of the way, so there is just the core engineering type stuff left in here in the middle of the workshop, so that I can work around it to board the walls out. It's a lot easier now. I can get all the way around. I can work my way around the walls, and obviously get to this back wall to do something with the window. I'll just move down the back end a little bit and show you in a bit closer up detail what I'm dealing with at that end of the workshop. So if you don't like spiders and creepy crawly things, now's probably the best time to switch off. This end of the shop's not been, no one's been near it for many years. We've had stuff piled up in the garage, as you've seen, not been down this back end. As I said in a previous episode, this is the worst wall. It's south facing and southwest facing. It takes the brunt of the weather, and it's in a pretty poor state. And this will hopefully emphasise the reason why I wanted to just board it, because I don't think there's a lot else you can do. But if you look at the state of this wall, it's pretty grim down there. There's lots of black mould and dampness from over the years. I think most of it's superficial on the paintwork, but it is pretty grim. The window itself is a wooden frame old window. It's absolutely rotten. You can see some of the rot in there. And I'm going to take your handheld now, so I'll try not to be too vicious with the movements, but just to give you some kind of idea. That's probably about the biggest cobweb I've ever seen. It's about two feet across from one end to the other. Yeah, you can see the general state of it at this end. It's not pretty. There's not a lot I can do with it. The damp's right up at height level. It's all the way down the wall. The previous owner left me a present when they moved out, and you'll see those 4 bottom jerry cans there are absolutely full with petrol that's been in there for I don't know how many years. It's been in there at least 4 years while we've been at the property, and probably 6 or 7 years prior to that. So I've got the best part of 100 litres of old petrol to try and deal with. It's quite a difficult problem actually, because if you go to the local waste recycling centre, they don't want it, they don't want to take it. So I need to come up with a way of, in an environmentally friendly way of dealing with that. And the only way I can think of doing it is to try and burn it off in small batches in a metal container or something. It's no good as petrol. It's no good for anything else. It's just going to take a bit of time to get rid of. I don't want to do anything that I shouldn't be doing with it, tipping it anywhere I shouldn't be. We live in a very nice part of the country, and it's very, very rural, and there's lots of livestock and animals around us, so we need to be very careful what we do. So the only thing I can think of doing is burning it. It's going to need to get moved out of here very shortly, and I should probably put it in the shed next door, just so that I've got access to this wall to finish this wall off. But yeah, as you can see, this is the ugly end of the shop, and you'll see now why I decided that at this end is where the bench is going to go and things like that, where it doesn't matter so much. We can have devices and hand tools and things like that. But yeah, you can see the general state. It's pretty grim. It is pretty grim down here. So lots and lots of cobwebs and spiders and creepy crawlies and things that have been obviously living here for many, many years, that are all going to be moving house quite shortly, hopefully over the weekend. So that's a little bit of an update. There's not much more to show other than that. It is a bit more progress. It's starting to look a bit better. This toolbox that you can see there, the Clark one, I've had that since I was an apprentice, since I left school. It's what I bought when I started my apprenticeship. It's absolutely full of parallels, sign bars, measurement equipment, micrometers, verniers, all the tooling that I made as an apprentice, so V-blocks and scribing blocks and metal edge boxes and all kinds of things that you make as an apprentice. It's all stored in there, all in various states of rust and various states of needing either throwing away, repurposing into something else, or bringing back to a good state. So I think that toolbox is about past its best. The drawers don't work very well anymore. It's all beaten up at the bottom. It's probably done a few thousand miles over the years in various house moves that we've done up and down the country, so it's seen better days. So I think that toolbox's days are numbered. We'll get something, as I said, probably some roll cab type cabinets, something a bit better, a bit more modern, and we'll transplant the contents into the new toolboxes. As part of the clean-up operation, I've managed to find both my welding units. So I've got a stick welder there and a MIG welder, which is gasless or gas MIG. Yeah, I don't know what state they're in. They've not been used. Certainly, the MIG welder's not been used for probably 10 years. I can imagine that the inner workings of that are needing some attention. But it worked fine when I used to have it. It was a cheapish unit, but it did the job. And then you'll see there also behind there, and apologies for the handheld guys, but it's just struggling with room with the tripod. I've got two sort of pillar drills or bench pillar drills there. The green one on the right hand side is really old. I've had that probably 20 plus years. It's not the best. The spindle's a bit baggy and it rattles around a bit. So I managed to purchase the one on the left, which was brand new in a box. It's done no work at all. It's far tighter. It's a little bit easier and better to use. So that will become the main sort of pillar drill until such point as I get a milling machine. And the one on the right hand side, the plans for that are to whip the motor off and turn that into a tapping machine. So I'm going to put some kind of sort of wheel or something on the front, on the top of the spindle at the front, so that I can use it as a manual tapping machine. That's kind of the plan. So it'll be another interesting project to do. So we'll see how that goes. So that's a bit of an update there. Interest in the box above it. That was made by my great uncle when I was probably 6 or 7 years old. It's made from mahogany. He used to keep all of his In fact, it's still got most of his stuff in it. It was eyes for fishing rods and things like that. He used to make split cane rods and various different old type fishing rods. It's a very, very good box, really, and I can't sort of bring myself to chuck it away, so I'm going to keep that. We're going to empty it out, and when we get the workshop built fully, I'm going to find a home for that somewhere, and we'll probably keep measurement equipment in it. Carbide inserts, who knows. There's a set of decent drawers there, and it's a decent unit, so we're going to give it a clean up, and we'll use that for storing various things in. So I'll see you in the next video, which will hopefully be at some point over the weekend when we get a bit more boarding out done. So until then, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.